Today's video is proudly sponsored by GLASBY Pallets, offering a one-stop solution for all your pallet needs. Get in touch now on 01709 585 646 to discuss your pallet requirements. Thank you to Sonny and the team for their support of the channel. Oh, what is happening, people? And welcome back to the channel. I am, of course, Jimmy, and this is, I suppose, the official launch of Jimmy Smith EFL. Wow, if you didn't know my name already, there it is in huge, huge letters. So yeah, welcome back, or welcome if you're new. So we have sort of repurposed this channel now, and we are finally diving into what is my favourite league in the world. So this channel will cover all things Championship. It's something that I really enjoy covering and really enjoy talking about. And I think I know a little bit about it. I don't profess to be an expert by any means. I'm a Sheffield United fan, for those that aren't aware. And I have a channel called the Ramble. So thank you to everybody that's joining us coming over from there. I also do a little show called, or a little channel called Proper Football with my mates, Cal Fowler and Conor McGilligan, who each cover Championship content themselves and sort of encourage me to get into this and do it a little bit more. Yeah, they do things like this. We're starting off strong with a tier list, and particularly Cal. And what I haven't done is watched his content on this subject. I love what he does, but I try and avoid, before I record things anyway, watching similar videos, because I think it affects possibly how I might feel about it, whether that's consciously or subconsciously. So we're diving in ourselves with a tier list. It's the first time I've done a tier list properly, so I'm excited to get going. And basically what we're doing is who is winning the Championship window so far. As I record, it is Monday the 27th of July, so there is still plenty of time to go. But where are you? If you're a fan of a Championship club, where do you put yourselves in terms of the transfer window currently? Are you okay? And are you happy? Are you concerned? We are going to be looking at it today. And look, we've moved things around a little bit. We still got our sponsors on. Thank you to everybody that sponsors and supports the channel. But there's our tier list in the corner. I will be able to bring it up as well in front of me so people can see it at different times. So the categories are winning. Who's winning the transfer window? Who's looking good in the transfer window? Who's not bad? Doing a decent job so far, who's got loads still to do, and who should be starting to panic. And as you can see there, we're starting off with Birmingham City. So we've got a lot to get through, obviously. 24 teams to rank. We're not going to hang about, even though some might say I am a bit of a rambler. So what have Birmingham City done so far? I've got the ins and outs on my right. I've got the tier list on my left. And we're going to try and make all this work together if we can. So come with me as we try and get it sorted together. And we'll try and make it work. So Birmingham, they've spent €7.5 million. So we'll estimate that's just below 7 million quid. They've made John Solis permanent. I don't know whether that was an option or an obligation. I'm pretty sure, actually, in one of the chats, one of the Birmingham fans commented that it were an option. And they've chosen to make it permanent. He's the one that they've spent the entire fee on, essentially. So they've doubled down on John Solis, who was with them last season, played, I think, 17 games for them in the Championship, scored 1 goal, but they were obviously really pleased with the impact that he had, so much so that they are willing to splash out just around 7 million quid on the Girona central midfielder, 21 years old. They're going to look to develop him. It's a big fee, but you'll see there's a pattern with this. There's a few sides that are spending big in this window on younger players, possibly unproven. Is that due to the new squad cost ratio rules, where you're trying to improve players over time and sell on, and then obviously reap the benefits of that increased budget? We'll have to wait and see. They've also brought in Dale Fry from Borough. I think this is a blow to Middlesbrough, no doubt about it. They've outbid other clubs to get Dale Fry, but he's on a free. So whether you think chuck money at a player just to get him over the line and sort of a little bit desperate in some ways, Others will look at it and say, well, they're not paying a transfer fee, and he's a proven operator at this level. He's captain Borough. He's come through Borough's system. Borough finished much higher and had a much better season than Birmingham last season. Yes, it might be for financial reasons for Dale Fry. I'm certainly not judging him on that. He certainly improves Birmingham, and he goes into their starting 11, and it's a good signing for him, ultimately. But slightly injury prone, missed the first game of pre-season. I don't know whether he's played since. So it's one to watch, because he's Borough fans, the one thing they are saying about him is he's not reliable in terms of availability. So that's one to keep an eye on. But a good player when available, and a free transfer, whether you've paid him a decent sign-on fee or you're paying him a good wage, it all evens itself out, because you'd pay £5 million for a player of Dale Fry's quality, wouldn't you? So I still think that's a good deal. And the last one that I have to smile at, because I don't rate it at all, James Beadle. James Beadle is coming on loan from Brighton. I'm not a fan. I know his record was quite poor in the league last season. If you look at him compared to the other goalkeepers, we've used this analogy before, but it's like getting alt burglar alarm and everything sorted out in front of your house, but then you've got a rickety back door that you just leave unlocked. If James Beadle isn't a reliable goalkeeper, are they going to be a little bit vulnerable throughout the season? We'll have to wait and see. I think that'll always likely be an Achilles heel for Birmingham. In terms of the outs, Kai Wagner has gone back to America. I don't know whether it was Philadelphia that he originally came from, but he's certainly gone back to Philadelphia, and they've got a little bit of money back for him. The one that sort of stinks is Kyogo Furuhashi. He's gone to LA Galaxy for an supposed £1 million. It's an absolute nightmare for Birmingham. They spent an alleged £10 million to bring him to the club in the first place last season. It's just not worked at all. Looked fairly bright in early spells. I remember doing a watch along with him, and he hit the post, and there were a couple of other little bits that he were putting himself about quite a bit. But as the season went on, it's just proven to be a really poor signing. So overall, and they've released Jonathan Panzo. Overall, I think it's a decent start. They obviously rate Solis because they're putting a lot of money down for him, and they would know better than me whether that's a decent signing or not. Dale Fry, I think he's a good signing. His availability is the only question, really, but he's a good championship defender and a leader to add to their ranks. James Beadle, I'm not a fan of. So, where I'm going with Birmingham to start us off, so if this works, we're going not bad. Not bad for a start for Birmingham City. Look, they're wanting to kick on and become one of those clubs that pushes into the top half of the table and sticks there. They want a promotion push. They want to be in the playoff mix. Does James Beadle hinder that? Potentially. I think he might. There's obviously still plenty to do. There will be a lot to do for loads of clubs at this time of the season, because there's obviously still some time to go. But how are they at the minute? And I don't think they're doing badly, to be honest, at the moment as we speak. So, moving on. Blackburn Rovers. They struggled last year. They brought in Tony Mowbray, and I rate this as a decent move. They will be kicking themselves that they couldn't convince Michael O'Neill to come permanently. It looked like he was going to do it at one stage and leave his job with the Irish national side. It's not happened. He's not done it. It looks like he might have been spooked, and this is outside looking in. It looks like he might have been spooked by conversations with the owners, which is never a good sign. Tony Mowbray spent a little bit of time out of management with ill health. His last stint with West Brom, I think it wasn't great, if we're honest. But a good manager and experienced in the Championship. It needs an experienced pair of hands, this, for Blackburn, in my opinion, because they are banging trouble, and they certainly were last season. O'Neill pulled them out of danger. So Moussa Baraji, they've made permanent for around £1 million. It was with them last season. Scored 2 goals in 32 games. I can't say I'm overly blown away by that, if I'm honest. Made one of the lone boys permanent, but Blackburn fans, tell me if you disagree. I'm not convinced on that one. They've lost Ryan Edgers. They've lost Tronstad, and they've lost Nathan Redmond. I don't mind Redmond going. They'll be sad to see Tronstad and Hedges go, but it won't be a surprise. Hedges, I think, has been on trial with Derby County, so may well stick around at the level. They've shaved a lot off their wage bill by getting these 3 out. I have to say, I think this is start to panic. If I'm a Blackburn fan, and it is early, but at this stage, I'm not happy with the business that we've done, because Blackburn, we know, are in trouble, or we think are in trouble. Certainly outside looking in. I would like to hear the opinion of any Blackburn fans that might come across this video and see whether I'm on the right lines with how they would feel. I know if the Venkies are in charge of my club, I'm panicking, because they're trending one way and it's not upwards. Moving on then to the next side, Bolton Wanderers, newly promoted Bolton Wanderers, and they've been busy. They have been really busy. They've signed Lucas Stevenson from Liverpool, 800 grand for a right back, 22-year-old. Obviously, we don't know much about him in the men's game yet, but we'll have to wait and see. He's obviously come from a really strong academy. Some are hits, some are misses. Ryan Brewster, look, Ryan Brewster's a good player, but he's not what we paid for him. They've signed a lad called Larrazabal, another right back from Casapia. He's coming on a free transfer. A couple of free transfers that have come in. He's Dave Watson, a centre midfielder from Kilmarnock. Ben Davis, experienced operator at the level, centre half from Rangers, and Akin Famuwu from Hull. I think spent a bit of time at Sheffield Wednesday as well. I quite like it. Oh, Dong. The Undertaker's music has also come in. Killian Dong, a left winger who's here on loan from Augsburg. So, being really busy. In terms of outs, they've sort of cleared the decks a little bit. And I know when I've been talking to Cal, he's excited by this. He thinks it's really ambitious to release so many players. I think it's a risk, if I'm honest. It places a lot of faith, but also a lot of pressure in your recruitment team. I have to say, I think the players they've brought in so far that we know of, Watson we know a little bit about, Famuwu, even though I can't say his name, I have seen him play, obviously. Ben Davis, I think they are decent at worst championship operators. So they are bringing in players that are good for the championship. They've let Sean go for around 500 grand. I don't know who he is, to be honest. George Johnston, who was a centre-half, has gone to Luton on a free. Kyle Dempsey's gone to Port Vale. Richard Taylor's gone to Bromley on loan. Osei Tutu has been released, as has Carlos Mendes. So there's a few players that have left the club, but I think they're levelling up here. I have to trust what they're doing, and again, not knowing too much about it, they're either looking good or winning. I think they're looking good. I think they're looking good out there. We can't say too confidently that they are winning the transfer window, but I think they're looking pretty good as it stands. Bolton fans, let me know what you think. Bristol City, Skabala's come in, and from early doors, I was quite complimentary of that appointment. I think he's spoken for himself in terms of what he did at Lincoln. I appreciate a lot of this now is a team game, and some of his staff will certainly be accountable for the success that he's had. But what he's looking at doing is scouring League One for gems in terms of he's played against these teams as Lincoln manager last season, and he knows what is the cream of the crop. It has slight Chris Wilder vibes for me when we first got promoted to the Championship from League One, and we went into League One and brought in players that were leaders in that division. The players I'm particularly talking about here are Sam Tickle, the Wigan goalkeeper. We don't know the fee that they've signed him for, but he's been a sought after goalkeeper for a while. He might not have had the best of seasons last year, but I think it's a solid number one pickup for Bristol City. Brad Collins comes in as a backup from Coventry on a free. Jed Wallace comes in on a free from West Brom, 32 now. Obviously on the way down a little bit, but a very good man to have in your squad. Sam Greenwood, I don't rate, if I'm honest. I think he's a good squad man. Comes in for around £2 million, which I think they've overpaid. Preston had the chance to sign him when he were on loan there. They chose not to do it. Borough had the chance to sign him when he were on loan there. They didn't do it. I'm not convinced by Sam Greenwood. I think he's shown bits throughout his career, and he's only 24 still, so he can evolve and continue to grow and prove me wrong potentially. But I'm not a huge fan of that signing. The signing I am a fan of is Laurent Tolai, who comes in from Plymouth Argyle for around £4.5 million, we think. They've triggered his release clause. They're still said to be sniffing around Don Ballard, who was the top goal scorer for Leyton Orient in League One last season. They've been able to fund it a little bit through some sales. Sinclair Armstrong's gone out to Gazette. Bless me. Ross McCrory has gone out, the right back, who's a good player. He's gone to Rangers for £1 million, around £1 million, 1.2, something like that. Mark Sykes has left the club and joined Millwall. I think that's a bit of a blow. They did renew Sam Bell, though, which I think is a decent bit of business. Joe Lumley's left to join Sheffield Wednesday. That's a good deal because he's a poor goalkeeper. Looking at the business that they've done, I think they can be excited about what they're doing. Looking good, but I think they're looking better than Bolton. I think they're looking very good, really. If they were a B+ category, they would probably be in there. So Bristol City, well done so far, so good. Right, here we go. It gets a little bit meaty here, doesn't it? Burnley. They've brought in Florentino for, in euros, it's 24 million euros. This was obviously an obligation that they had to buy him. And already they are negotiating, allegedly, with Hull to sell him to Hull. And Hull will take him for a lower price than Burnley have paid. It's just financial mismanagement, really. They have won in the window previously with loans and obligations to buy. Add this to a negative column for me, really. Yeah, played 31 games for him, got 2 assists. So he's been a regular in their side, but they can't afford to make these sort of signings now that they're dropping to the Championship. We've already seen them recoup a lot of money from Maxime Esteve, who's gone out to Leipzig for 25 million euros, so 20 to 25 million quid. Jadon Anthony has gone to Brentford for around 15 million quid, so they've recouped around 35-40 million from that. Ogachukwu has left to Galatasaray on loan. There's a loan fee there involved. Dubravka's left, gone to Tottenham on a free, but obviously he'll be on decent wages. He's knocking on now. He's 37, but it's a good player to lose. He's just going to be too expensive for Burnley to hang around with in the Championship, I think. They've also lost Chauna. I'm useless with some of these names, unfortunately, but he's gone to Cov. We don't know the amount, but it'll be a sizable fee. I think they've done well to make some money on that, which is allegedly what they've done. So he's the right winger that's gone to Coventry, young 22-year-old. So they've brought in a fair chunk of change. There's also rumours that other players will be leaving, such as Ian Fleming and other things like that. They've brought in a kid called Castell from Espanyol B, who's a left winger. We'll wait and see. He's a 19-year-old kid. So they haven't really got moving yet at Burnley. I think they are in a bit of a transitional period. Obviously, they've got the new manager in. They had several people that they wanted to bring in as manager and for whatever reason, couldn't get anything done and over the line. A concern, yes. So wait and see how that goes. But I'm not impressed so far with Burnley. I wouldn't be starting to panic, but I think they've still got loads to do. And I think their fans have probably said that's fair. Again, you feel free to comment, Burnley fans. Let me know what you think. Obviously, I've got a few pals who are Burnley fans, and they can let me know as well. But I would be a little bit concerned. Look, they played, as we record this, they played Ajax yesterday, I think it was. And it was a good performance by all accounts. But I think you can be fooled by pre-season performances. And ultimately, are you prepared for the Championship season? We'll have to wait and see. So Cardiff, on to Cardiff then. They have made Nathan Trott a permanent signing, 27-year-old goalkeeper, and that is your lot. They've let Ryan Wintle go out to MK Dons on a free, which were a little bit of a surprise. MK Dons not slacking in League One this season. Also signed Nombe from Rotherham, which I think is a good deal. But Cardiff coming up from League One to the Championship, had a good season. They've got a good manager in Brian Barry Murphy. I don't fear for them currently, but in terms of the transfer window, one in, one out at this stage, still loads to do for me. I think there's plenty on for Cardiff. I think Burnley have got more to do. This will be the order that we try and go in. So I'm not panicking about Cardiff yet, but in terms of what they need to do, there's a little bit of work on it there. So we'll have to wait and see how they get on. Moving over to Charlton. It's a nice badge, isn't it? It's a nice badge. Couple of moves that I like with Charlton, I have to say. Danny McNamara, it's another solid pickup on a free transfer from Millwall. 27, I think he's back where he started. Correct me if I'm wrong, Charlton fans, but I think he started at Charlton and has had a good career at Millwall. I think this is a little bit of an under-the-radar signing, a little bit like a couple of others that we'll probably come to, but I think it's just a smart bit of business. Charlton, by no means, are an established Championship club at the moment, and I don't think they'll be resting on their laurels either. I think Nathan Jones is a good manager. Whatever you think of him, I think he's a good manager at Championship level. Danny McNamara, a good signing. They brought in Billy Cometio, so I know he comes from the Liverpool Academy. He's been playing up in Scotland. We'll wait and see whether he proves to be a good signing. They just signed Milanik Ali from Luton. Ivan Messick has also come in as a centre-half. We're not sure how much these have cost. The one that really stands out to me, and the one who I know is coming back to where he's been originally, Carlan Grant. He's left West Brom because they were trying to negotiate a new deal for him. Couldn't work it out. And he's an automatic starter for them. I think Charlton have made a few signings that like their strategy last season, where it a little bit like Bolton are doing now, bringing in championship level players just to make them a championship squad, if that makes sense. And obviously that sounds simplified in terms of what you're supposed to do, but it was underwhelming signings in a lot of ways, but quite smart. So they were bulking their squad out with players with championship experience. And I think Danny McNamara fits the bill. I think he probably challenges for a starting spot, but I think Karlan Grant is a bit of a step up. I think most teams in the bottom half of the championship would take Karlan Grant. I know he's inconsistent, but he once, did he sign for West Brom for 15 million quid from Huddersfield? He is a good player at the level, I would say. Decent to good, and on his day he can be very good. I think it's a really smart signing for Charlton on a free transfer. I think it's really good. They've lost Terry Taylor, whoever he is, to Stevenage on a free. Apologies, I don't know who he is. Alex Mitchell has gone to Plymouth, centre-half, 24-year-old. Keane Dixon has gone to Novi Pazar, who I didn't even know existed, if I'm honest. Karoy Anderson has gone to Blackpool, and Macaulay Gillespie at centre-half has gone to Bradford. So they are moving out some of these League One boys that they've had previously and starting to recycle the squad. Where do we think Charlton are? I think the Karlan Grant one just nudges them into looking good. Karlan Grant and Danny McNamara, the two recent signings, I think they are, again, looking decent. They did a lot of business last season, so I'm not sure how much they need to do this year. Might not be too much, but I really rate what they've done so far. Derby County, speaking of teams that I rate, Bobby Clark. It's a big one. I still think it's a bit of a snip, to be honest, for what is around 7 million quid. For Bobby Clark, 21 years old, from Salzburg. Played for him last season, did really well. I really rate it as a sign-in. Charlie Taylor coming in as well. Left back, can play centre-half. 32-year-old, brings in a wealth of experience. I think that's a really smart, shrewd signing. I don't know much about Bill Beja, who's coming from Paderborn. Left winger on a free transfer. We talked about it on the transfer tracker over on Blades Ramble a couple of days ago. But it's a bit of a punt, isn't it? Free transfer, coming in. Had a fairly decent record at Paderborn, so why not give him a go if he's going to be a squad player? They've lost Jake Rooney to Boston United, obviously, and Callum Elder, who has left the club, which was a surprise, but obviously has been replaced by Charlie Taylor. I think Charlie Taylor's probably an upgrade, if I'm honest. Callum Elder at 31, Charlie Taylor at 32, leaves the club, but he then comes on to the next club that we're going to discuss in a minute, which I think is good business for all involved. So Derby as well. I can't put them all in looking good. You've got to call it as you see it. And I think Derby are around here for looking good. I think Bobby Clark is a good signing. They seem to be nudging up their levels every year. John Eustace, really good manager. They will not be John Useless next season. I anticipate. Sorry, that's so bad. But I anticipate them being in and around the playoff mix. Certainly now there's 8 spots. I anticipate Derby will be one of the favourites to get one of them. Lincoln City coming up as champions, but have already lost their manager and now have a managerial duo in charge, which I'm always really sceptical of, as are many people for obvious reasons. I'm going to say it straight off. They've loads of work to do here. They've just signed Kubis from Cluj, I think they're called, centre half. They paid a lot of money for him, 2.6 million, I think it was, club record. 22-year-old centre-half, Belgian-Italian centre-half, and that could turn out to be a player. I don't know enough about him. Callum Elder, a really smart, shrewd signing at the level, but it's not enough, is it yet? I think he's a starter, and whenever you sign a starter, I think you're off to a decent start, but there's so much still to do. They've lost Kamson Kamara to Hearts, and also Eric Ring has left to go to Kilmarnock. So I think it's pretty clear to me that Lincoln still have loads to do. Loads to do. I'm not panicking yet for them, but we're not far away. Borough with the new badge. What do we think of the new badge, first and foremost? I don't mind it. I think it's better than the old one. I like a round badge. Hayden Hackney has gone for around 18 million quid, we think, that's going to rise. Now, he is much better than 18 million quid, but he had 1 year left on his deal, so we have to take everything into consideration. They've also let Dale Fry go to a divisional rival in Birmingham on a free transfer, which is a kick. It's a real kick. So you've lost 2 good players out of your first team there for essentially like 18 million. That, when you look at it in that sense, isn't great. But the signings that they have made, and they haven't yet made the second one that we're thinking they might. Kyle Joseph, I'm not overawed with. I think if Hull don't go up, last season, nobody's coming in and paying 4.5 million for Kyle Joseph. I think they've been caught by, well, he were in a successful side that got promoted last season. I don't think he's good enough to be a £4.5 million player. Sarmiento, they got diddled into signing permanently because of the loan deal that they did last season. I think it were a poor loan deal, to be honest. They've had to sign him for £3.5 million from Brighton, Sarmiento. The one that I'm excited about for them, and a lot of Borough fans are rightly excited about too, because they've got some money in their coffers as well now. This will not take into consideration either that they have got the Morgan Rogers money, which is a huge chunk of change for them. So they're now well equipped to go. But as we speak today, how is their transfer window? Will Lancashire has come in as a bit of a statement signing. They needed a number 9 last year, and he fills that void. He came through the Sheffield United Academy and then obviously went on to Tottenham. They bought him out of our academy, £2 million, I think it was. So we'll get a little bit of a sell on for this. Unlike a lot of Blades, I'm a little bit unhappy about this deal because I think he's a really good player for a divisional rival. So they've spent money. They've spent an alleged £10 million, rising to 20 or something around that mark for Will Lancashire. I think it's a really good signing, but in and amongst everything, when you weigh it all up, they've lost Dan Barlaser to MK Dons, which they were happy to let go, I think. Can you feel the force has gone as well? Alex Gilbert's gone. Darrell Lenihan, who has also gone. John McLaughlin, the older goalkeeper's left. Sam Silvera. They are clearing the decks a little bit at Borough. It leaves them with a bit to do, but I think they bumped themselves up with the Lancashire signing, and I think they're not bad. At the minute, Borough. They're not bad. They're obviously heavily rumoured to be in for Ashley Phillips, but as we record, he hasn't yet signed. Probably pushes him into high, not bad. Probably looking good, if we're honest. Probably looking good. I am currently on my own fitness journey. I've been trying to learn about what I should be doing, what I shouldn't be doing. Oxford Natural offer you 2 types of supplement, a day and a nighttime supplement. Optimum Day helps with energy, cravings, just keeping you on track day to day. Their Optimum Night, well, that's more about recovery, sleep, and letting your body reset properly. Again, something I really struggle with. Michael Owens lost 35 pounds being on this. Robbie Lyle, AFTV and friend of the channel, over 80 pounds gone. We've also got examples like Anita, an immigration lawyer who's lost 44 pounds. Linda, a legal executive, she's lost 50 pounds. Next on that list is going to be me. I am taking part in their weight loss program. If you want to follow that, that's over on the other side on our YouTube channel. If you want to go and subscribe over there, follow that journey that I'm doing with Dr. Andre and Oxford Natural. So if you're like me and you're sitting here thinking, I need to sort myself out, it might be worth a look. Scan the QR code, the link's in the description below, and make sure you use the code BR70 for up to 70% off your first order. But thank you to Oxford Natural for supporting the Blades Ramble. Come on, Millwall. They have, so in terms of outs, Wes Harding has gone to Plymouth. Billy Mitchell has left and gone to Sheffield Wednesday. I think it's a good signing for Wednesday, if I'm honest. I know I jest about Sheffield Wednesday, but I think that's a very good signing for him at League One. Danny McNamara has already gone to Charlton, as we've spoken about. Macaulay Langstaff has left to join Salford, who are splashing the cash. Baz Bannon has left the club. What a terrible signing he was last season for him. For a side that signed really well last season, he was one of the poorest signings in the league, I would probably say, for Millwall. Adam Mayer has left to Hibs. Joe Bryan's been released, as has Massimo Luongo. So again, a fair few players out. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 players gone. And they've brought in 4 players. They brought in Cervais from Michelin for £3.5–4 million, attacking midfielder, 21-year-old. Arconte, centre forward, 22-year-old for just shy of €3 million from Rededs. Can't comment on those because I don't know enough about them. Elkan Baggett, centre half, 23-year-old from Ipswich. Not bad. Is he a game changer? Not yet. Mark Sykes, I think, is a smart pickup from Bristol City, who I think is a good utility player at the level. So Millwall straight away for me. So far, they've been busy, but I think they're not bad. Not bad. It's not great. I think they're on the lower end of not bad, but I think they'll be wanting to do a little bit more. I can't fairly judge them, to be honest, because of the foreign market that they've been shopping in for the 2 top boys. So I can't say it's been great, but we can give them a not bad, can't we? Moving on to Norwich City. Right, okay. Mrs. Spriggett has gone to Leyton Orient on a free transfer. He's a 23-year-old right winger. It looks a decent signing for Leyton Orient, that, to be fair. George Long has also gone. That's a huge blow. Not goalkeeper to Southampton. there's a huge merry-go-round of backup goalkeepers that go around in the Championship, and he is one of those. Emiliano Marcondes, the former Brentford attacking midfielder, has been released, as has Shane Duffy, Jeffrey Schlupp, and Dan Barden. That's their outs. In terms of their ins, Bruno Alves is coming on loan. He's a 20-year-old centre-half. Sam Field has signed from QPR, another Championship utility player that doesn't overly impress me, if I'm honest. And Andre Brooks was the eye-opener, really, particularly for the Championship, really. He was our Players' Player of the Year last season, Andre Brooks. I'm talking about Sheffield United. And he's gone and signed for Norwich, and they've paid, well, there's a question mark here, but I can tell you they've paid £8 million, which will rise to £9 million if terms are met. And it's a statement from Norwich, going to one of your rivals, paying a lot of money for a player that's come through. He's a Sheffield United fan. He came through our academy. If we'd have offered him same terms, I think he'd have stayed. But I also think we can't turn that sort of money down at the minute as well. So he's a good player. Norwich have signed a good player there, but they've paid for it as well. So they were already in a really strong spot, Norwich, because of the players that they've got. So we are judging the window as it is so far. So I would say this is not bad, but it's higher end of not bad because Andre Brooks takes them up a notch or two. So I'm putting them in top end of not bad. I think there's probably more to do for them. Well, there is plenty more to do for them, but Andre Brooks pushes them up for me. Everything else is very meh, but I think it's not bad because of the Andre Brooks signing. Good player. Think they've overpaid, but he's certainly got a high ceiling. So we wish him well as long as they finish below us. On to the next one. That is Pompey. Play up, Pompey. Right, these have been busy just recently, actually. They've signed Odin Bailey from Stockport, who I'm not convinced on, if I'm honest. Somebody Kenny, a centre-forward from Dundalk, who is a 20-year-old kid. 40 grand they've paid. 40,000 euros, so 35 grand. It's an absolute punt on somebody that will likely go into their 21s. He's an half-decent record in Ireland, so we'll wait and see how that goes. The lads that they've obviously brought in to impact the first team, Odin Bailey, as I say, I don't particularly rate. Daniel Bileka, the goalkeeper from Breda. These are all foreign boys, so I can't really. Again, Rocco Sheen, great name, but can't tell you if he's any good as a centre midfielder, 22-year-old from Fredrikstad. And Marko Milovanovic, who I think is signed for around €3.5 million, but could rise to 5.5. Big lump up front from Almeria. It's not bad for what we can assume. It doesn't inspire me, but they needed a centre forward last year. They had Colby Bishop and Connor Chaplin just behind him. Their problem last year, Pompey, was they couldn't put the ball in the back of the net. In Kenny, young Kenny, who I think will go into the 21s, but obviously is a prospect. Milovanovic, they have signed 2 centre forwards there. So decent for them. In terms of outs, they have lost Ruben Swan to Braintree. Andre Dezelle has gone to DC United on a free transfer. Toby Stewart has gone to St Johnstone on loan. Mackenzie Kirk out to Barnsley. Centre forward has gone out to Barnsley on loan. And they've released Jordan Archer, the goalkeeper, and Harry Clout, who no longer has any at Pompey. So where do we think? I'm not overly. Well, they've been fairly busy, haven't they? Fairly busy. So we can't say they've got loads to do. So I'll say it again. For Pompey, I don't think it's bad. But again, I'm not overly impressed. So I don't think their fans will be either. It's a little bit unknown into it when you're shopping in the foreign market. So we'll wait and see there. Preston North End. The headline from Preston, I'm not going to save it, is Alfie Devine. And I think this is a real statement from Preston. It looked like he was stringing him along a little bit. They had an agreement to potentially sign him at the end of the loan deal, a really successful loan period he had with them last season. From Tottenham, 21-year-old prospect. Teams like Preston don't, all due respect intended, don't often get players like this done. It would usually be a Middlesbrough or a stronger team at the level who will come in and swoop and take somebody who's proven to have a good season in the Championship and pay the money that Preston don't usually have. They have put their hand in their pocket and paid around £5 million for Alfie Devine. And I think it's a really smart pickup. I think it improves them immediately. Obviously, it's no level up on the team that they had last year, but he's a permanent player for them now. He's an asset for them. I think they will flip him in a couple of years for a big profit if he continues the way that he was last season. Really strong. I'm really pleased with Preston signing him. Particularly, it's good to see clubs being ambitious to try and stay, because you have to speculate to accumulate nowadays, don't you? You have to spend the money to stay level. If you're not spending money, then you're going backwards. Lee Nichols comes in from Huddersfield, historically a very good keeper and a very good championship goalkeeper. 33 years old now, but comes in on a free transfer. I really like it. They've got a loan forward in from Genk as well called Arabi. Certainly the two that I know of. Don't know much about Arabi, or anything about Arabi, if I'm honest. Alfie Devine, one of the best signings of the window so far in the championship. Lee Nichols, really strong backup. I like that. In terms of outs, they've lost Michael Smith on a free transfer to Mansfield. He's 34-year-old. Jack Walton goes out to Dundee. They've released Robbie Brady, Will Keane, Jamal Lewis. It's a shame what's happened to him in it as a player. He were a real prospect at one time. Noah Mawene and James Pradich. I really like Preston. They've still got a lot to do. So you could put them in still loads to do. But for the business that they've done, I really like it. I think they're looking good. I think they're on the right track. If I'm a Preston fan, I'm pretty excited. QPR, another side who I'd be quite happy with if I'm a fan, to be honest, because they have, okay, so outs. Sam Field has gone to Norwich, as we've already discussed. Zan Selar has gone out to Basel. They've got some money for him as well, which is decent because he didn't really do it for QPR at the level. Murphy Cooper has left the club. He's gone to Plymouth permanently now. Paul Nardi has gone out to Auxerre. So that's two goalkeepers that they've lost. Steve Cook has gone out to Wickham on a free transfer. Isaac Hayden has gone to Leyton Orient on a free. Joe Walsh has gone out on loan to Wigan as a goalkeeper replacement for Sam Tickle for them. And Ben Hamer has been released. None of those players will be a huge miss to QPR. Then you look at the players they've brought in. Look, they've brought in Callum Ward, who was said to be a decent goalkeeper for Motherwell. They've paid for him. They've signed him permanently. 25-year-old. It was then a surprise because another really strong signing for him is Piers Charles. Piers Charles coming in from Man City. I can now happily say he's a very good goalkeeper. Man City signed him from Wednesday, sent him straight out on loan to QPR, and he's automatically one of the better goalkeepers in the league now. So they have a really strong number one. They've also gambled and brought in Tyreek Lamptey, but hasn't played for a season. So it's a definite gamble. Boy Kemper has come in as a left-back option for them. But I think what QPR have done here is really smart. They've cleared the decks, refreshed their wage bill. Essentially, they'll have got Steve Cook will not have been cheap. Isaac Hayden will not have been cheap. Sam Field, Zan Keller. There's players there that have been on a lot of money. They'll have brought some money back into the club. Callum Ward they've signed. They've actually made money this summer so far, and I think they've got stronger for what they've done. Piers Charles, I think, is a great get for them. I know that they are very interested in Harrison Burrows from Sheffield United. If they can get him done, they'll have to pay the money, but it's ambitious. If I'm a QPR fan, the direction we're going, I think it's looking good. So I'm putting them in the same category as Preston were as well. So QPR, I'd be happy if I'm a QPR fan. Sheffield United then. I know a little bit about these. I like to think I do anyway. So, big job on our hands this summer, which probably gives away where they're going to go. But Andre Brooks sold. Likely to sell Sidney Peck. Likely to sell potentially Harrison Burrows. Will Gus Hamer stay? Not entirely sure. Trying to get out the AI signings that were a disaster last season. Mark McGuinness has been told he's made available as well for transfer. We've brought in Matt Doherty at right back as competition for Femi Siriki. Probably spells the end for Jamie Shackleton at the football club. Ramel Donovan has come in as a loan signing from Brentford as a replacement for Andre Brooks on that right wing and looks very bright at the moment. Obviously, it's a loan signing, but I like the look of him from what we've seen so far. Alex Matos has gone out to Gazette. Polendikov's gone out. Ben Mee, Danny Ings, Tom Davis released. Luke Faxon, Sai Sachdev gone out on loan. So plenty of outward movement at Sheffield United. Starting to be a little bit of inward movement with Doherty and Donovan. I like the direction we're going in. Strong rumours that we're in for Harry Souttar. But let's not fool anybody. Sheffield United have still got loads to do in the transfer market. But as a United fan, I'm happy with where we are. I'm not going to spend too much time on them because if you want to see me rambling on about Sheffield United, you can catch me there on the Blades Ramble. But on to Southampton. They could be doing really well here. Look, so outs. Ross Stewart is a big blow for him. I know they wanted to retain Ross Stewart, and he's a good player to go out, a 29-year-old. Joe Aribo's gone, Jamie Jones has gone, Will Smallbone's gone, who I think he's also a good player. So they've lost some decent players in that respect. George Long has come in. He's a backup goalkeeper, so we can't be overly picky on that. They've lost some of their elder statesmen. So Jamie Jones, we've already mentioned, but Charlie Taylor is 32. He's gone to Derby. Oriel Romeo, if I can say his name properly, has left now. He's 34-year-old defensive midfielder. Alex McCarthy, long-serving goalkeeper, has left and joined Leicester City. Well, I think he's a decent pickup for Leicester, if I'm honest. The ins for Southampton, I think, are really impressive. I know they're not a popular club at the moment, but they are still a parachute club, and they are spending money wisely, I would probably say. So Kyle Larin has come in permanently, who was on loan with them last season. Good signing. 31-year-old, but a good signing. Played for Canada in the World Cup, did well. The standout signing for me is the goalkeeper, Daniel Peretz, who I think is in the conversation for being the best goalkeeper in the league. It's a real coup for them to get him from Bayern Munich, particularly for the price that they did. I think he will have had other offers on the table, and I think they've done really well to get him in. So I think this pushes them up significantly, if I'm honest. Lewis Dobbin as well. While I think they have overpaid for him, because they've paid around 10 million quid, we think, I still think it's a really strong signing for Southampton. So at this stage, I think Southampton are winning the window. And it's not going to be a popular shout, that. It's not going to be a popular shout, but I think they're winning the window currently. They've, as I say, not loads of business, and they'll still have some to do. But the players they've got out, other than Ross Stewart and maybe Will Smallbone, who probably don't start for them, but starts for the majority of championship sides. Other than Ross Stewart, I don't think they'll be upset with any of the outgoings, and I think they'll be delighted with the incomings. So, well done, Southampton. On to Stoke City. I'm not sure on this, you know. I'm not sure on this at all. Look, they've just had a 6-0 win over Sheffield Wednesday in pre-season, which, yeah, we don't read anything into pre-season, but when you're beating Sheffield Wednesday 6-0, it's great. So they've spent a lot of money, between 20 and 22 million quid if transfer market is to be believed. They've had to make Milan Schmidt a permanent signing. He's a 23-year-old centre-forward, but they've paid about 5 million quid for him. Wow. They've bought Jibril Samari, who was at Sheffield United last season, and I'm telling you now, he's not worth 3.5 million quid, if that's what they've paid for him, which is from Braga, which is allegedly what they've done. Hope he does well. Good young player, but not worth 3.5 million quid. I would be unhappy if Sheffield United had signed him for that amount. Luke Graham, a highly thought of centre-half that a lot of the middling teams in the Championship have been looking at. 22-year-old from Dundee, signed him for around 2 million quid. It's a lot of money, but I think it's a good signing for a young centre-back who's highly rated. So I think that's decent. Svante Ingelsson from Sheffield Wednesday comes in as a squad player for me. I think he was one of the better players of a very bad bunch last year. That's not me being negative to Sheffield Wednesday. They finished with 0 points. They were statistically, even if you'd have given them their points, they're statistically the worst side that's ever played in the Championship. So I think he's just a bit of a filler signing, and they've paid money for him, about 1 million quid. I'm not sure whether it's the smartest bit of business. Josh Griffiths comes in from West Brom. Again, the backup goalkeeper merry-go-round. The one that stands out is Ethan Galbraith. Again, paid a lot of money for him. Have they overpaid at around 10 million quid? Possibly. But Championship ready, goes into the side, will get into certainly all Championship squads, most Championship sides, I would probably say. So it's a good signing for them. So there's a real mixed bag there. I put Galbraith and Graham down as good signings. I put Schmidt and Samari and Ingelsson down as meh to not great. And for the amount of expenditure that they've chucked at it as well, it's a lot of money. In terms of players out, Nathan Lowe's gone out to Hibs on loan. Tesgill has gone out to Wickham on loan, whoever Tesgill is. Lewis Baker has left the club. He's gone to Bursaspor on a free transfer. And Nzonzi and Djodjic have left as well. I think it's not bad. It's not bad to meh. They've done a lot, so you can't really say they've got loads to do. But I'm not impressed with what they... I could even have them here. Start to panic. Could I have them there with something? No, not when you sign Galbraith and Graham. I think it's not bad, but I think it's bottom end and not bad. Very ambitious to sign Ethan Galbraith. I wonder if there's a bit of a power struggle going on at Stoke, and this is speculative. There was a rumour came out not so long since that one of the managers were unhappy and pushing back on the club early doors, and that was when they'd signed Samari and Schmidt and Ingelsson. Screamed of Mark Robbins to me. And then they sign Ethan Galbraith all of a sudden and Luke Graham, who are decent players for the level, and you think, good players for the level, and you think, could have been Mark Robbins that. Could have been Mark Robbins. But that's speculative, as I say. Swansea City, moving on to the Swans. They've spent a lot of money, 14, 15 million quid. Joseph Apoku, I don't know much about him. He comes in from Waregem, Zulte Waregem, left winger, 20-year-old, 6 million quid. Now, I'm reserving judgment on Swansea because they brought in Elijah Just, who was the New Zealand international that scored, I think, 3 goals at the World Cup. 26-year-old, they paid 5 million quid for him from Motherwell. It's a lot of money. It's a lot of money. They've signed Leo Walter from Sirius, 3 million quid. I think they've made him permanent. Stephen Welsh, centre-half from Celtic on a free transfer. Bit of a punt. Don't mind that at all. I think that's probably a smart signing. And they've signed Musa Yeo, 22-year-old right winger from Salzburg, and we're not sure how much they've paid for him. It's gone down as undisclosed. So they've sold Ethan Galbraith, so there is a decent amount of money coming in. You've got to sell these players at the right time, and they've sort of put it back out on a punt in Apoku. What I will say about Swansea is they've lost Josh Thomas as well. Ricardo Santos, who's not a great player, has gone to Sheffield Wednesday. Joel Ward has also been released. He's 36 now. Swansea don't often go far wrong in the transfer market. And the thing that I'm excited about for Swansea is they are this season's recipients of Brighton's scouting system. So if I'm a Swansea fan, I'm excited about some of these unknown players. So uncharacteristically, I am going to stick them in the looking good category. I can't put them too high in the looking good category because we don't know them, some of these players. But from what we know, looks decent. Looks decent. We know that we can trust Brighton's recruitment model, can't we? A lot of people would want it. On to Shady FC, Watford. 3 deals with Udinese where it's not been disclosed what they've paid. Kerem Gard, they've made permanent. He's 23-year-old centre-forward. Ika Bravo has come in, another centre-forward from Udinese at 21-year-old. And a right-back from Udinese, 28-year-old Omar Traore. They have a relationship with Udinese. The Pozzo family also own Udinese, if you didn't already know that. They have also sold Georgi Chekvetadze has gone to Udinese undisclosed. One of their better players, it has to be said. Iran Kunda is said to be leaving the club if they receive the right offer. He is still at the club, so we're judging the transfer window on what it is currently, so we're not going to include that. Deli Bashiru has left to join Aris Salonika for 500 grand. That's the only fee that's been noted. Nathan Baxter has joined Leyton Orient, the goalkeeper. Orient making a couple of shrewd signings. Tom Ince, Pierre Domwo and Mendy have all left the club, as has Miles Roberts. George Hurtado and Vilvado Semedo have left on loan. I'm not sure. I don't know these players that have come in from Udinese, but I'm not. I can't get excited about them. And the fact that they've lost Chekvetadze is a huge blow to them. I'm not. I wouldn't say I'm starting to panic. I think there's loads still to do for Watford. We'll put them there because they have signed 3 players. So we'll see. We'll see how it plays out. Moving on to West Bromwich Albion, the Baggies. James Morrison, you give me something that makes me scared, all right. Has signed Barney Stewart from Falkirk for around €1.5 million. Jimmy J. Morgan comes in from Chelsea under-21s, who had a good season last year in League One. Connor Townsend has come in from Ipswich, returning to the club, I believe that is. That went under the radar for me. I've not seen that one. And Matt Ingram comes in as a backup goalkeeper. Meh for me. Daryl DK leaves the club. Jed Wallace leaves the club. Carlin Grant leaves the club. Josh Griffiths also goes out to Stoke. Joe Wildsmith has also been released. A lot of clearing the decks. Charlie Taylor, we know, has gone out. I think they've still got a fair bit to do here. Barney Stewart as a centre-forward coming in from Falkirk. It's a bit of a punt at 22. The Scottish League is always an unknown quantity. Jimmy J. Morgan, I think it's a natural step up for him. But I think there's still a lot to do for West Brom. So, and I think they will start to do some business. Put on the verge of not bad. But yeah, that's where I'd have West Brom at the minute now. Things might change here because the Hammers. Look, the ones straight away that you can't avoid. Mateus Fernandes has gone out to Tottenham, 85 million. Somerville has gone to Al Hilal, 45, 50 million, whatever it is. That is them sorted. There were rumours that they had to raise between 100 and 150 million quid. I know that it's not all going to be up front, but apparently the majority, if not all of the Fernandes one was. That was part of Tottenham's way of getting in front. They've lost Callum Wilson to Brentford, but he was 34-year-old and he's going to be an expensive player in the Championship. He's not going to be somebody that will be with them beyond. I think it's still a loss for West Ham, that, but Fabianski, 41, has retired. Adama Traore has also left the club. They have got loads to do, so maybe this defies my own logic, but hear me out. They have made 2 sales that now allows them to go and be an absolute monster in the Championship. And if I am a West Ham fan, I am ridiculously excited. Not only that, but in the transfer window, certainly with ins and outs, you don't note the players that have committed. And Jared Bowen staying with West Ham is good enough for me to say that they are winning the transfer window. With 2 clubs to go, and it'll take some stopping that, because yes, there's still a lot to do technically speaking. It's not like West Ham are going to have to go out and panic buy. They are a really attractive prospect in the Championship. They could handpick whoever they wanted, really, over any other club likely in the league. The biggest club by a stretch in the Championship. And yeah, I think they've got to be heavy, heavy favourites for the title. So, congratulations, West Ham. On to Wolverhampton Wanderers. They've signed Rafiki Asandesana Squash Banana for £8 million. Left winger coming in from Standard Liège. Don't know enough about him. Also don't know much about Krugreki, who signed from my Girona, but he was on loan with Wolves last season. They've signed him for around £7 million. How many games did he play for them? He played 28 times in the Premier League for Wolves last season. He's somebody that they've thought well enough of to bring him in permanently. They've also signed the 2 standout free transfers of the window in Raul Jimenez and Kieran Trippier. Now, they are getting on, both 35 years old. They will be on a pretty penny. I don't know much about Rafiki Said. I don't know much about Krejci, but these 2 I do know about. And wow, oh wow. They've sold João Gomez, who's an incredible player. That was always going to be expected. They've also tied down the young lad, I forget his name. They've tied down one of the really exciting young prospects as well. I think this is a really good start to the window from Wolves. A little bit like West Ham, I'm giving the promoted clubs a little bit of grace. I think Burnley start off massively behind because of the manager situation. And I think they've still got some wheeling and dealing to do before they can get going. But these 2 clubs, Wolves bringing in €40 million for João Gomez, and the signings that they've made so far, I think they are behind West Ham, but they're also doing very well in the transfer window. And finally, moving on to our last club, Wrexham. Not signed anybody. No permanent signings. Jay Rodriguez has been released. Paul Mullen's been released. Callum Edwards, Ruben Egan, all been released. Issa Kabori's gone back to Man City. Tom Kelly, Max Purvis, Tom O'Connor and Andy Cannon have also gone. So they're clearing the decks of all these players that don't affect the first team, let's be right. So they're no weaker than they were last season. And they've just played a pre-season game against Man U and done well, and played Leeds and beat Leeds in pre-season. You can't read anything into pre-season. But these have got so much to do. Should they be panicking? Should they be panicking at this stage? Maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe it's too early to panic, other than if you're Blackburn. But I would say they have still got a lot to do. An awful lot to do. Up there with Sheffield United amounts of work to do. So, Wrexham fans, let me know if you're in agreement that you've been too slow to act this window so far. There's rumours that you have to sell before you can buy. I assume that's due to squad cost ratio rules rather than a finance issue. But they obviously had a great season last year. We'll be hoping to go again and secure that playoff spot. So we'll see how they get on. But that is it. That is how we finish our ranking system for the tier list. And this is how we've ended up. We've got starting to panic Blackburn Rovers. Then in reverse order with still loads to do. Lincoln City, Wrexham, Sheffield United, Watford, Burnley, Cardiff and West Brom all have loads still to do. A not bad transfer window so far for Stoke City, Millwall, Portsmouth, Middlesbrough, Birmingham and Norwich. Looking good in the transfer window so far are Charlton, QPR, Swansea, Preston North End, Derby County, Bolton and Bristol City. But I have winning the transfer window, the top 3 sides in the transfer window so far. Southampton in 3rd, Wolves in 2nd and West Ham in 1st place. Let me know what you think about that as a tier list. I know we've gone for a while, so let me know what you think. If you like the content, please do show us some support by liking the video and subscribing to the channel. We are trying to grow and get out to more people. But for now, we'll see you in the next one.
Ignition, free to